I'm good, thank you.
And you, Chris?
Very good, sir. Very good, sir. Very good.
Right, good. If you may have or may not have noticed that we have changed our setup slightly. We wanted to modernize the channel, and we called on the help of Mr. Kai Creative. He has changed our intro and our banner and all that kind of stuff. So if you don't know him, make sure you go and check out Kai Creative's channel. You make sure you check it out because he's really good. And I'm hoping that we will be using him for more wonderful things throughout the season. But let's get to the real nitty gritty. We have a new person joining us on the screen. And no, it's not Chris. It is Mark. Welcome to ForMorSport. How are you doing?
I'm good, my man. I'm good.
Yeah, okay. So I see that you are wearing a black and white checkered shirt. You are representing Newcastle, but I hear an even more northern accent. So fill us in. Tell us, how is it that you, as a proud Scotsman, supports Newcastle United?
Well, it goes way back. I come from Ayr originally, and Ayr United play in black and white. So one reason I like the black and white of Newcastle, but also sponsored by one of my favourite beers at the time. So when I was playing football, I was able to play with my favourite sponsor. So
okay, so that's the connection.
But also I like Kevin Keegan as a player. So and when he played for Newcastle, and
so it was. Kevin Keegan was a quality player, then obviously a manager, but we won't talk about that at the moment. We'll probably bring that in later.
I would love it. But...
he's taken my thunder, Chris.
Oh yeah, listen, he's gonna get settled in just fine. He's gonna settle in just fine.
Exactly. He's already fully aware of the banter, and so it's week 3 of the EPL, the English Premier League. We're going to go through a recap of the games that we saw this weekend, and some great goals, some great games that we're going to talk about, and maybe just break it down a little bit from our own perspective, what we think's happening, with the league. I know it's still early days, only 3 games played, but each team has shown us enough now to know maybe where they need to improve, maybe where they may need to still, use the transfer market. And from there, we will carry on. But the very first game, I don't know why Chris is folding his arms currently. Hold your...
Okay. No, I saw something earlier on just before we came on from BBC, and it said August 2021, 3 games played, and it showed where Arsenal was.
Yeah.
And it's gone to August 2022, and it showed 3 games played, and it shows where Arsenal are. Yeah. And just when you were saying that, it just made me chuckle, because I'm just like, it's amazing how time can just change. I know we're going to come on to Arsenal later on, but it did make me. That's why I called it. But I'm just like, I'm looking at your team and I'm a little bit jealous.
Hold that thought, because I think that the very first game, we're going to go backwards. I think what we need to do in this episode is we're going to start with the last game played, and we'll go backwards in time, which means that we are going to be discussing the 6-goal thriller that was Newcastle United versus Manchester City. Now, obviously, Mark, as the Newcastle fan, I'd like to get your take on what was an amazing 90 minutes of football.
It was amazing. When the first goal went in, I was like, here we go.
Yeah.
Man City are just going to put on the pressure and just fire the ball up the pitch. And, I was sort of half prepared for a washover. But, at the back of my mind, I was like, hopefully, when Newcastle then started pressing really well. Maximum going up the wing, and they just didn't seem to have an answer for him. They just everything he touched, he seemed to be able to just dribble past and make some good moves, which didn't come to anything. And then that first goal with Almiron, and although the at first it was chalked off, and then he was able to get his second celebration, and
yeah, that's right.
It's great. And then the next 2 goals after that, I thought, yep, they're in for a shout here. But as soon as Man City then started to put the pressure on again, got the second goal for them, and then a quick third. Again, I was a wee bit, this could go difficult. They were starting to really up the pressure, but they managed to withhold it. They got the defence working just.
The thing is that obviously, I mean, the thing is, I remember whilst the game was being played, they actually said it was the 2 teams that had not conceded in their previous 2 English Premier League games. So in theory, 2 very defensively minded, very, they were focused on, not allowing a goal to be conceded. But then we started to see the way in which, it's funny, you talked about Maximum. I want to talk about him. And I'm hoping that Chris and Mark, you can tell me, 1, can Newcastle keep him? 2, is he one of the best left wingers in the country currently? And 3, why doesn't he score more goals? So I'm going to leave that to you, because I think that those are 3 things that stood out for me when watching just how good that guy is. So do you want to start, Chris, or it's up to you? Go on.
Yeah, I don't mind. I mean, Mark is probably more educated in this part than me, but Saint-Maximin, is he one of the best? Yeah, I think he is. He is. My only thing that I think he lacks is that end product. However, I think from what I've seen, a lot of the time when he has been playing, a number 9 hasn't always been fit. And then when Chris Wood came in, he needed time to gel and to bed in. So they didn't really get that connection perhaps so far. So it's maybe a bit harsh to say that his final decision making is always wrong. Maybe it's just when you're not on the same wavelength with players because you haven't played with them as much as you would have done if everybody's fit. That's different. But for me, can they keep him 100%? Newcastle are a club that's going places. This is a game that in previous years, as Mark mentioned, they go 1-0 down so early, they probably lose. But they'll go down fighting, but they'll lose the game. Today, they quite easily could have won the game. So if you're Saint-Maximin, why are you going to leave? You're gonna see this season out, definitely. See how far you can go and see who else is coming in. I think the only reason he leaves is if they get someone who plays in his position. But that's just my opinion. And
Mark, what do you think? So
he is a quality player. He reminds me of Asprilla when we had Asprilla back in the day. He's got that edge, just like today. The defense didn't know how to take him. They didn't know how to play him.
Yeah,
and that's one of his strengths. Each time he comes out onto the pitch, you just don't know what he's going to do. That unknown quantity. I think I heard rumours that at some point they were going to sell him, but I think he's too valuable to sell. I think he's got a lot to give. He loves the club. He loves the fans. And he certainly does seem to play for the shirt. He really does respect the history of the club and whatnot. And you can see he wants to play. He wants to get out there and show you stuff. My only thing about him is sometimes he holds onto the ball just that little bit too much.
Yeah.
There's a couple of times that he'll dribble, he'll do all the good work, and just that last reset, he just misses just that wee edge just right at the end. So he is a good supplier. He does supply a lot.
Yeah.
And when he does put it in the back of the net, he's had some cracking goals.
Yeah. I mean, he is a good player, and that's the one thing watching him today, where he's like route one. Once he gets that ball, there's only one direction he's going. But I often think his dribbling stats must be out of this world for the amount of time he has the ball and he's running towards defenders. His crosses have got better, I think, because he seems to be a lot more focused in, well, if I can't score, I'm going to try and give that final ball. I wonder why other clubs didn't see him beforehand, how he ended up at Newcastle. Not saying that, I'm saying that in terms of, we can see that he is quality. And I can imagine that someone like Guardiola's thinking, you ran my defenders ragged today. He did it last week. He did it the week before that. He's really making a name for himself. And he seems to be, I mean, obviously we'll talk about Wilson in a moment, but he seems to be one of the standout players. But is it maybe that the manager is bringing out the best in him? Or, do you think this has got to do with maybe being told to play in a different way? I mean, what's your take? What do you think?
I think he's like Joey Linton. He improved when Eddie Howe came in. He seemed a bit lost, whether that was just where he was being played or what. Yeah. I don't know, but certainly he seems to be found his place on the pitch, and I think Eddie's playing him in the right place.
I think Linton was never a striker, was he?
No.
He was being played up front, and it's only when you moved him back a bit, put him in the midfield, that you suddenly thought, wow, he's actually very good. He's very defensively minded. He's always looking for the best of the team, and he gets stuck in.
Yeah.
And I think that I didn't see that last year, and I think your fans were kind of turning on him because he's if you're expecting him to score lots of goals but he doesn't score, you're going to turn on him. You're going to be thinking, well, not scoring goals, you're useless, you're no good. Well, now that he's been moved back into the midfield, you've suddenly gained like an extra player. And I think Eddie Howe has done wonders. I mean, obviously Wilson coming over to the club. He was injured for a long period of the season last year, came in, banged in a lot of goals, and broke Arsenal's hearts for Champions League qualification last season. Turned Newcastle into a very, very, very good team. Now, I've got one more question, Chris. This is for you. Do you like Vars?
Do I like?
Yeah, do you like Vars? Do you think Vars is good or bad?
It's needed. The system itself is needed. Perhaps the individuals who use it could do with further education and all sing from the same hymn sheet, so to speak.
Yes. The reason I ask you that question is because in bygone eras, Trippier would be having an early bath in that game. And arguably, City would then run them over and probably score a winner. But Vars has stepped in and seen that it wasn't a red. There was no way he was. But I don't know if you noticed, but when Trippier fouled De Bruyne, Trippier hit his ankle, but De Bruyne held his knee. I don't know if you saw that in the replay. You actually see that De Bruyne held his knee, and I think that helps the ref to go, oh, red. He's got a high foot, studs are showing, send him off. And I am so grateful that Vars, in this instance, stepped in and said, no, ref, please have a look, just have another look at that decision, because, Newcastle were struggling at that point in the game. But playing 10 men would have been very difficult. So in this instance, Vars, I salute you. Well done, because you actually did it right. And I'm so, so glad that he was able to stay on the field for the entire game. But also, and I wanted to mention this as well, right? Wilson's goal, Trippier's free kick, Bernardo Silva's goal. There was some real amazing goals in that game today. We saw a cracking game. I actually sat and thought, wow, Man City have gone to Newcastle thinking I'll roll them over, score early, Newcastle will start to struggle. No. Almiron's goal, and then, Callum Wilson, Trippier. It was just a brilliant goal. Good, brilliant game. Yeah. Obviously, Haaland and Silva came back in and brought them back into the game, because I don't know about you, but every Arsenal fan at 3-1 was like, we are going to be the only team with 100% record. Or are we? Or, what's going to happen here? Obviously, I never anticipated that City would get back in the game, but that is City, isn't it? We talk a lot about Newcastle, but what is it about the City machine? I'd like to hear your opinions.
Pep.
Yeah.
He's such a tactician. He's got so much up his sleeve.
Yeah.
And I think the team as well, they've got a lot of experience. And all right, they've added some new names in, but they're a good unit.
Yeah.
They've got a lot of experience. They've won the league. They know what to do. And they just know to just turn the pressure up.
Chris?
Yeah, I have to agree. It was something that we spoke about in the group, who is the best manager up right now. And not only does he make a difference, but they have got world-class players. Ultimately, they're never going to panic. No. City, when they get beaten, they don't get beaten by a lot. They'll get beaten by the odd goal. And they can be beaten, but the point is they don't panic. They will just continue to play the same kind of football. The goals that they conceded today, some of them you couldn't prevent them. Any team, doesn't matter who you put, you're always going to kind of score that. So it was just on them to see if they could get back into the game. But one little side point, I was really happy for Almiron to score it, because, I think it was Jack Grealish who mocked him last year at the end of the season and said, get Mahrez off, he's playing like Almiron. So actually, for it to kind of backfire today, Grealish is not anywhere to be seen, and Almiron scores. I thought that was, poetic justice kind of thing.
Oh, yeah. And I think that Newcastle have, they've shown the steel and the metal in that side, that they're not going to be I'll tell you, you know what? And I don't know if this is there's a statistic here for Newcastle to actually be a force this season. They need to get results in London. Historically, Newcastle do not get points in London. It's well known that they go to London clubs and they lose. And I don't know the statistics of Newcastle. It's quite a high number of points that they drop on the road. And I think if they can turn that around, then we will be really talking about a Newcastle side who will still be there or thereabouts, at Christmas. And then we'll be thinking, wow, this is without the crazy spending that we assumed, and many of us assumed that when Newcastle were taken over by, all of that Saudi money?
Yeah.
We thought, do you know what, we're going to go into the market and just spend. Hasn't happened.
No.
But the manager has actually got the team he's got, and he's turned them into a good side. So it'll be interesting to see if they do any more business before the transfer window closes, and it will be interesting to see where they are come Christmas time and into the new year. So we have to watch this space, I think, with Newcastle.
Could I ask a question, actually? And Mark, I don't know if you'd know the answer. With what Johnny said about Newcastle and not being the greatest travellers, it's a known thing, isn't it? But do they tend to fly, or do they tend to take the road? Because it's one of the furthest away games for most teams. When they play Southampton, you're going from one side of the country to right to the other side. I don't know if they fly or drive, and those little things can play a part in the fact that
I don't know off the top of my head. I shall try and find out.
Okay, lovely, Jeffy.
So listen to this, right? I just typed it in, and it said, and this is going back, but Newcastle United have lost more games in London than anybody else in the Premier League. In the Premier League, that no team loses more points in London. And actually, you're probably right, Chris. It may well be down to the journey time. I know obviously, that's not probably a good excuse, but it may be a factor. But it's just the fact that I've always noticed that, Newcastle kind of have a little bit of travel sickness. They are very good at home, very good, very strong. But when it comes to London, they just seem to wilt. And I've always found that quite an interesting, an interesting statistic about Newcastle. But if they can turn that around, then if they have to go to St. James's, which is a fortress, and which is the crowd get behind, support their team, then Newcastle could well be, not a lower mid. They may well be a very strong mid, and maybe even further. Who knows?
I said European football dark horses. I said it last week.
You did. You did. Yeah, that's true. And actually, you know what? It puts everyone else in the league on alert. I think it lets everyone else know that, we talk about the big five, but actually there are clubs there knocking on the door.
Oi, big five? What's happened there? What's big five? What's going on here? I'm sure it's a big. I know what you're doing. We spoke about this. I was like, I saw how you slipped that in, big five.
So Chris, just help Mark out here, because Mark's probably thinking what we're talking about when I talk about the big five.
Oh dear. Okay, so something was put into the group which said, the big six of the last 30 years, so the Premiership era, they pretty much cleaned up in terms of trophies. So it was one that showed how many Premier League titles have been won between the top six, and the same with the FA Cup. Now, the top six were listed as Manchester United, Manchester City, Arsenal, Chelsea, Liverpool, and Tottenham. There was one team in both lists that had a 0 under both. They had 0 FA Cups and they had 0 Premier Leagues. And the rest of the group then decided, well, actually, we're just going to call it a big five then. We're not going to call it a 6, because Spurs have won nothing.
But obviously, when you talk about a big six, you would include, Tottenham would fall into the realms of that as a big. Tottenham are a big club. We can't knock them. They're just not a successful club, but they are a big club. No one can question the fans, the support, the ground, the training, the sponsorship. They have it all. All they need now is a trophy. They need to win something to cement that, to cement
heritage.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I think that's what, when I said about a big five, it's because I see success. I see trophies as a sign of success. I don't see all of that other stuff as I see it as professional football players don't play just to get a wage. Well, some do when they're, when you're younger, you want to win things. You want, you want to have something in your cabinet behind you. You want to have a medal. You want to have something. And unfortunately,
so what we're saying about Leicester, because Leicester have a one under both of those.
Leicester have Premier League pedigree. They've won the Championship. No one can take that away from them. No one can ever take that. I've had this conversation with you before. You could be the top goal scorer in your league, but that record can be broken, and you can lose that record. One day, as we know, Shearer's record will be broken. Someone will overtake that record. And then years later, someone will overtake that record. If you win a Premier League or you win an FA Cup, that's yours forever. No one can ever take that away from you. And these players that are playing right now, that's what they want. They all want to have something in their trophy cabinet. Being best player on the pitch is great, and man of the match is nice. But you want a cup. You want a medal around your neck. And anyone that says that, well, do you know what? What do you think, viewers? Do you agree with me? Do you think football players now are just interested in money? Do you think they want to win stuff? Well, I'd like to know your opinion. Share that with me. But anyway,
are you saying Kane getting 250 goals for one club is not a good enough trophy? Because the way they were talking about it was quite wild.
We will get to that.
Oh, okay.
We will get to that. Mark, as you can see, we are we go off topic sometimes.
Yeah.
Where we get a little bit excited. But what we're going to talk about now is we're going to move on because I think we have covered what was a 6-goal winner. The two teams that had not conceded all season so far, letting 3 goals each.
See, before we leave Newcastle, can I just say one thing about Bruno?
Yes.
I read or heard this week that in his contract, he didn't want any clauses in his contract.
Oh, wow.
I thought was like, that is so unusual.
Unheard of.
It's unheard of for this time. And to hear that, it shows his commitment to helping get the squad up to a good standard. And
do you know what? I think that, sorry, I know I said we were going to go off the topic, but I think that's testament to the manager because he did he had the same kind of vibe when he was at Bournemouth. Those players played for him. Yeah. And that's why a small club like Bournemouth were able to be a...
Whoa! We want Bournemouth fans to watch us, you know. You can't say small club.
You know what? You never let me... You know, Mark, one thing I can tell you now, Chris never lets me finish my sentences. He always jumps in and never lets me finish.
Did you not say small club?
Where
were you going with that?
Well, really? if you stop me, if you allow me... So he was able to manage to keep a small club like Bournemouth in the Premier League.
But you can't call them a small club. You can't. We can't do that. We're gonna get cancelled.
Anyway, my point is that compared to other clubs, Bournemouth, by their own admission, would probably say that they are a smaller club, which they are. We're not, we can't say that they're a huge club because they're not, but they were in the Premier League, and that's the important thing. And he kept them there. And the lads, they all played for him, and I see that also now at Newcastle. Newcastle, I see they all play for the manager, which it wouldn't surprise me that when they are come to contract talks, they may be thinking, do you know what? I want to stay here. I want to watch this project. I want to see where this goes. Newcastle are not the Newcastle of yesteryear where they were, relying on the passport payments because they were just yo-yo team going in and out of the league. They're here to stay. I see that, and I think most people can see that as well. Now we're going to move on to the next game, which is, if I can get it up on the screen, Leeds United 3. Chelsea 0. Goals by the American Brendan Aronson, Rodrigo, and Jack Harrison, who also got man of the match. Now, this was a very strange game. I watched it earlier on today, and all I kept thinking was, what's going on here? I mean, I understand Tuchel is not on the sidelines, but with telecommunications today, I'd imagine that he could have made a phone call to his second in command, giving out advice as to what to do next. From your take of the game, what did you see going on here? Like, what did you think was the issues? Was it just the fact that they were bamboozled by a very strong Leeds team playing at home, or do you think there are bigger problems in that Chelsea team that maybe Leeds were able to find out?
I think it looked like Chelsea came thinking Leeds are going to be a walkover. Yeah. And when as soon as the whistle went, Leeds hit them with everything. They just did not give them a second.
Yeah.
They were pressing constantly for a wee while. They lost a wee bit of the edge at the back, but Chelsea never capitalised on it. They just and they worked well as a unit. They worked well as a team, and I think that they were up for it. They were up to. They wanted to win that game. You could see it.
But if you look at that stat where it says possession on the Chelsea side was 61%. Leeds had 39%. Chelsea did more passes. There was more accuracy. They had more shots. Was this just a very bad day at the races, as it were? Because when you look at those stats, Chelsea should not have lost 3-0. Oh, no. Sorry. Hello, Roger. I've just seen Roger. I saw that Tuchel was in the dugout. Apologies.
He was. Yeah, he was.
I thought that the Conte debacle that was last week, he was banned.
No, they managed to let him in.
Oh, okay. I did not realise that.
I think he'd put in an appeal or something.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So, good evening to you, Roger. Obviously, Roger is a proud Chelsea man. I'm putting the stats up on the screen because, as you can see, this was not, when you look at the goals scored, shouldn't it be the other way around when you think just how much of the possession and just how much of the play Chelsea had in this game? How is it that they ended up losing 3-0?
I think Chelsea started well. I think Leeds, both teams started well. I thought Chelsea took the game by the scruff of the neck. For me, the two first goals, you think of the timing of them as well. Keeper makes a clanger, right? Yeah, Keeper drops a clanger, right? Absolute clanger. I don't know what he was doing, but you know what? They all make mistakes. It's the fact that the second one comes so soon after the first mistake. That's where I think it happens. I don't think Chelsea were terrible. And I'm not even sure if I agree with Roger where he says that Chelsea were too arrogant. I think Mendy makes the first mistake, and that's playing on his mind when the second one comes along.
Yeah,
it's so quick. It's so quick. He hasn't got it out of his mind. It's not out of his system. They score again, and really now Chelsea they're chasing the game. It was just. I don't know, 5-6 minutes of absolute carnage, and they just can't then get it back. I don't think they were terrible. And like you just showed on the screen, the stats back it up that they weren't terrible, but it looks like 3-0 had them peppered. It wasn't like that for me anyway.
And obviously there was a Koulibaly. Was he, the pace of the game is when you play a Chelsea team like that, you've got to hit them quick, hit them hard. Don't give them time to, don't give people like Jorginho and their players the time to be able to move the ball. It was just route one, attack. Very much like how Leeds used to play maybe 2 seasons ago when they first came up. That style of just going at you. Earlier on in the day, I saw a comment that I think it was Roger said that Koulibaly is going to get sent off before he did. So it's quite obvious that Koulibaly was not having a good game. And does that now mean that if he doesn't play well, that's their Achilles heel?
No, I wouldn't. Sorry. You go ahead, Mark. Go ahead.
I think everybody from time to time has a bad day.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how long they've played the game or how professional they are. Eventually, at some point, they have a stonker. They have an absolute stinker of a game. And unfortunately, it was his today.
Yeah.
He'll come back and he'll play an absolute stormer of a game the next time. He'll make up for it.
Yeah. So Roger says, I agree that they probably expected to win. Not a good attitude to go into the match. Obviously, Koulibaly was stupid. He got himself booked for silly things. He literally almost took that guy's neck off. The second yellow was. It was, I'm in the same space as you. If you're already on a yellow, you shouldn't even be anywhere near him, let alone grab him round the neck and impede him. So, maybe it was a little bit of naivety on his part. But I still didn't think that this was a 3-0. I didn't think, oh my goodness, Chelsea have been completely outplayed and they just got sucker punched. And it's like they didn't know what to do once the second goal had gone in. Obviously, when Rodrigo scored, I went into our chat and I just put a nice little reminder to a certain Chris who believes that Rodrigo will not score 10 Premier League goals.
Thank you.
This season, we have only played 3. He has 4 already.
I couldn't care less.
If you're not aware, if he does manage to score 10 goals, then the next show, Chris will be wearing an Arsenal shirt. Loud.
Listen.
Proud.
I will wear it. I'll wear it the show after he scores the 10th and at the end of the season. Because for me, 4 or not 4, he's not that guy. However, when we were in the waiting room, I have to acknowledge my lack of research because I didn't realize he's been wearing the captain's armband. Obviously, when you wear the captain's armband, for some players, it elevates their level. And since wearing it, he's now got 4 goals. And I didn't know he'd been promoted to that role. So I probably will be wearing an Arsenal shirt at some point this season. But at the moment, I'm still not worried. I don't think he's going to get 10.
And the beauty is that I have the entire season. I have, we both have the entire season, but you already are fully aware that he's got 4 already.
No, so, I'm not stressed. I'm not stressed.
His goal a game average. He doesn't. I'm just so looking forward to seeing you in the Arsenal. I'm just glad, and I'm just proud. And don't get me wrong. If he doesn't, I've got to wear a Liverpool shirt. So, hey, and I will.
Plenty to choose from. Plenty to choose. I already know which one I'd wear. I already know what color, so it's fine.
Yeah, and I'm wearing.
It's fine. You might be all right, Chris. You could
say that again.
He could hit a goal drought.
And he will. He's not might. He will. Like he was on a goal drought the whole of last season.
Well, look at it this way. Whilst I don't think Bamford played today, and I can see him being a very important part of of Leeds.
Is it true? It is true.
What did we say at the beginning of the season? Did we think Leeds would be one of the teams that would go down? Did we say Leeds would be a team that arguably wouldn't have a chance? Or I'll have to go back, but I didn't think they would get relegated. But I think I was only one of. I think I might have been one of 2. I think everybody else had Leeds to go down. Yeah. Leeds have played so well already this season. And I think getting a result, it's interesting because we saw Chelsea play Tottenham last week and they nearly got the result. Obviously, Kane came in, scored within 90th minute or whenever he scored, and it ended up being a 2-2 draw. And I thought, well, you know what? That's a good Chelsea team. That was a good side. And it's weird how the Premier League can go from that kind of quality to what we saw today. It just fascinates me how you can never really tell what's going to happen when you're on the road playing away from home. Because the minute you get on that, away turf, you've got the away fans, and you've got to deal with that. And you've got to then get your game plan, and you've got to quieten the crowd. You've got to stop the opposing team who are going to attack you for the whole game. And you need to kill their will. You couldn't do that with Leeds. You just couldn't do it. And they ended up with a great result. So what we'll do is we will move on to another team that, in all honesty, I never thought we would be talking about in this way. West Ham 0, Brighton 2. Now, I work with an ex-West Ham football player, actually. I work with he's a West Ham through and through fan, and he said to me at the beginning of this season, "I am genuinely worried for West Ham, whether or not they'll stay up." And I went, "No, look at the season you had last year. You were, top, near the top of the league. You had a great European run." And he said, "No," he said, "there's something not quite right there. And we're going to struggle." And West Ham have really struggled. So I don't know what your take is, but the Trossard goal was quality. Did you the build-up play, the one-touch football for his goal was brilliant. I'm not worried for West Ham, but were you expecting West Ham to be where they are right now? Literally, so many games played, no points, not doing well. I mean, what's your impressions of what you've seen so far of the West Ham team, Chris?
Okay, I don't worry for West Ham, if I'm going to be honest with you. West Ham are getting new players in. They're trying to build up the squad. they played in Europe at the weekend during the week. You know, I think there's a lot of variables that go into it. I think the game was pretty even. We already know about Brighton, and Brighton have the element of they can shock you, they can catch you out. West Ham, you know, 3 games to be bottom, does it shock me? Not particularly, because it's 3 games. Do you know what I mean? I think we just need to get certain things into perspective. You don't really start looking at the league until other things start coming in, and then your squad gets tested and all that. You know, also, who have they played so far this season? Their first game was Manchester City, the champions. You know, just putting little things into context. Do I think West Ham will struggle? No, I don't. I think there are still 3 teams in the league that are worse than them, so I don't see them having a problem. I think, however, I think Newcastle are now a threat to West Ham's place battling for Europe. If West Ham if they let Newcastle get too far ahead, that's where they will, you know, have to play catch up, and it will be difficult. Newcastle don't have European football in the middle of the week. Those are the things you've got to look at over the course of the season for me.
What about you, Mark? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's surprising to see them not have any points.
Yeah.
But you got likes of Antonio as a striker, and he can pull it out of the bag. And he's been successful. He's shown it in the past. So as long as if he gets the service, then he's got the ability to be able to help them.
How can they be so? Sorry, Mark. Obviously, we look at West Ham last season. They dropped off near the end of the season, but that's just more because of the size of the squad. They're Europe, they're playing, and just so many more games than everybody else. But they've had the break like every other club. They started this season, and they're not where they were last season. Now, what you know, have they sold anyone? I mean, what's changed with this West Ham side? You know, obviously, we celebrate the likes of people like Rice, Antonio. You know, they've got a good team there. But to go 3 games and not get a point. We know, you know, I'm not talking about last season, I'm talking about right now. It's one of those things that losing gains momentum. Because if you before you know it, all the teams that are above you are now more than 3 points in front of you. And now you suddenly know that even if you win, they're still behind. What do you think West Ham need to do?
It's hard to say. You don't know what's going on behind the scenes.
Yeah.
But then I hate going. I don't want to keep going on about Newcastle, but you know, until it's impossible for them to catch, mathematically impossible for them to catch, then there's always a chance for them to rescue get out the drop zone.
Yeah. I mean, we're not saying that we're not on game 30, are we?
No.
So like Chris said, it is only 3 games in. I know the pressure that you face when you've played 3 games and not got any points. There's a lot of pressure there, so I know what that feels like.
The biggest thing for me is that they've just got to score.
Yeah.
Right now, we've spoken. Each person here has mentioned Antonio, and we know what he can do. But thus far in the season, he hasn't done it. Right. Only difference is because of their exploits last year, they have now spent money on a supporting cast. That supporting cast at the moment haven't started any of their games because they've only just come in. I think once they bed those down, takes the pressure off of him, and it means that because they've got 2 strikers. They bought a guy from Burnley, Kone, and then they got a guy from Italy, really good prospect. So I think they just need to score. 3 games, no goals.
Just for a second, look at this team. So we already know the likes of Antonio, Benrahma, Fornals, Bowen, Rice. These guys were brilliant last season. They were really good. And I mean, Bowen was one of the standout players of the Premier League last season. Standout, as in, you know, there was talk of him being wooed by Arsenal. They were mentioning Arsenal. Manchester United were talking about him. I think he is from Manchester, isn't he, or from up that way? But Bowen needs, maybe, I don't know if it's are they trying a new style of football? Are they trying a new formation? But they need to go back to basics and basically get themselves going but then don't get me wrong, and we've done it so many times before. We need to also recognize that Brighton are not a weak side, and Brighton have already scalped, have already played some big teams this season and have got results. So I suppose, it's one thing we tend to look at Brighton as it's only Brighton, but actually Brighton are a good team. But I just didn't expect them to go to West Ham and get a result, because that's one of the games where you need to get points. Because if whenever we talk about teams that you play that you think be against you maybe at the end of the season, that's a game where that's a 6-pointer, because this team is going to be near you pretty much for the whole of the league. You're going to be pretty much there or thereabouts, and you've just surrendered 3 points on your home turf to a very strong Brighton team. So maybe we should be thinking, are Brighton going to be there or thereabouts for a European place? Could they maybe be challenging, or could they then be a team that we might be thinking come game 33, 34 still up there and still getting points off of their main rivals? What do you think?
Not if you've got Daniel Welbeck as your number 9. No, not for me. Not for me.
You're doing it again.
Why are you laughing? Why are you laughing?
I can't believe it. Chris, I've told you can't do this. Like, sorry, Mark.
But you asked the question.
Listen, only a few weeks ago, he was saying that Tottenham can't do anything, not when they have, Lloris in goal. Now you're saying Brighton can't do anything because they got Welbeck up front. Welbeck, right, was amazing. Trust me, in that game, didn't he get the penalty? Wasn't the
He did. But did he score? Did he score?
No. He didn't take the penalty.
That's it. For me, if you're talking about a team that's going to have a prolonged challenge, get enough goals. Right now, if you think about it, the people who are scoring for them are from the midfield. That's great. Yeah. But these players are not Lampard, they're not Gerrard, they're not, they're not Robert Pires. They're not those guys, right? So everybody's happy. The sun is shining. So it's summertime. Everybody performs well. Let's get to December. You're still going to hear about Trossard? You're still going to hear about Pascal Gross in December?
You don't know. You can't say that.
We don't know, but you're asking me in the summer. You're asking me if you ask me in the summer, I'm then going to go, because I don't know the answer, I'm going to look back at what the history books have told me. It is telling me that those midfielders probably won't score in December. So then I'm saying, okay, they're not goal scorers. So who's up front? They usually use Neil Maupay. They're trying to sell him. So now you're playing Danny Welbeck. Is Danny Welbeck going to score you 20 or 15 Premiership goals to keep you in the European race? No.
But he's going to be a thorn in the side of most defenders. He's strong.
100%.
He may well
100%.
hold the ball up and allow to bring other players into the game so they will be able to score.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't think we can rule well, but I do think Welbeck has a good use. I know you just slated him, but I think Welbeck definitely has the ability to help Brighton go up the table, and defenders will think twice about how they play, because Welbeck, if he can stay fit, the problem is his injury. He's injury prone. But if they can keep
there it is again, and that's it as well.
Yeah. If they can keep him fit, then I actually think this may well be. Brighton are definitely a team we need to keep an eye out for.
Yeah, I agree.
Right. Okay. So what we'll do then, we will move on to the next game. Now I know that you had a go at me earlier on for saying it, because obviously small club. So obviously Arsenal went to Bournemouth, who, as we know, are newly promoted, and Arsenal went there and scored 3 goals. I'm not going to talk too much about it, because obviously we have a lot of other games to talk about. So all I would say is, and I want you to make your own points as well, is that the takedown from Jesus for the first goal was justice. It was world-class football. And if there's one thing that I have noticed from what I've seen so far with the Arsenal team, is that right now we had a good game. We had a good team last season. We just didn't have a very good goal scorer. We now have a very... We had Lacazette, and Lacazette was for a large...
Brother, did you not start the season with Aubameyang? What's going on here?
Yeah, and he didn't score goals, did he?
Whoa, but you had a good goal scorer, mate. Well, just because he didn't score.
No. His mind wasn't there. He was already, obviously...
Oh my goodness. What's going on there, bro?
As we have already seen, there was a lot going on at Arsenal behind the scenes. Aubameyang wanted to leave. He was already gone, and so we didn't have someone who was committed and wanted to go out there and go and do his...
I disagree with that. I have to say I disagree. I disagree with that.
Well, you can disagree all you like. I'm talking about
I know.
The facts.
No, you're not, because at the same time I've watched the same program as you, the All or Nothing, and at the beginning of the season, Aubameyang didn't actually, to what I saw, he didn't want away, but because he broke rules, the manager said, you will go and train with the reserves. He said, I was saying to the players, I want to be here, but it's the manager's choice. Yeah. And then obviously...
And what I'm saying is that as a result of that, his heart was no longer in the team. It wasn't. So we played him for a large part of the season. We played him with no return. So there were what I said, and I'll say it again. What we see now in the Arsenal team is a striker who's actually doing his job, who is actually hungry and wants to score goals. And there's no politics yet. He's not annoyed with the manager. He's not annoyed with a contract. He's just playing football. And so when I see what Jesus does, the way he links up with Martinelli for the first goal, and then obviously passing it to Odegaard, who scored 2 goals. Again, 2 very early goals, takes the wind out of the sails. Scoring as well. It was really, really good, solid, focused football. Almost boring in a sense. Not what I mean is that it was very matter of course. Like they went there to do a job. And I agree with that. Part of the game where I was like, this is almost embarrassing because they're just playing like this is a training game because they're not being tested. But that's amazingly because when I look at our fixtures, we haven't been tested yet. Our first test, I believe, obviously we're going to be playing Fulham and we're playing other teams as well, but we've got Manchester, we've got Aston Villa as well. Manchester United is going to be a test. It doesn't matter how bad they play. Manchester United is always going to be a big test for your team because they are a team of quality players. They just don't know how to play together yet. Obviously Liverpool will find out tomorrow how bad the rot is because they're playing. We've got them in a few weeks' time. From what I saw with in the Bournemouth game, the moment we went ahead, we were not giving it up. A season ago, that would have been a 1-1. We would have been...
No, I didn't know.
We would have been pegged back. We've seen it. How many times did I see it last season where near the end of the season, obviously, we lost to Newcastle, and it hurts because you think, oh, they're a good side, but then things happen. It doesn't work out that way. What we saw yesterday was that steel, that metal that I talked about earlier on in the show. But now they're saying, you know what, we can get ahead. Let's get another, and let's protect our lead. Oh, we scored again. Wow, we almost scored a fourth, but obviously Jesus was offside. I do think that I worry that if Jesus gets injured, what happens to the Arsenal team? Because do we have replacements? Well, we will need to see what happens when that does happen. But in general, I think it was a good game for Arsenal. 3 games played, 3 games won. It's a lot better than it was last season because last season we didn't get any points. So we were in the same boat as West Ham. And they were talking about relegation. I remember having conversations and watching on the news about, could Arsenal get relegated and blah, 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 blah. But, history has been, as we saw what happened last season. Now, unless you want to say anything, I'm going to move on. Unless you want to make a point about Arsenal or Bournemouth. Do you want to make a point?
The only thing I would say and sorry, Mark, if I cut you, is I just think Bournemouth they're going to struggle this year. They're going to struggle.
Were they in your 3 to go down?
They were, yeah.
Are they in your 3, Mark?
I would say so, yeah.
So who are the other 2? Who do you think, from what you've seen so far, who do you think were your 3 to go down? Other than obviously Bournemouth being 1, who are the other 2?
Is that to me?
But no, I was saying to Mark because I know.
Right,
I think we spoke about this before. Where we
did. Yeah,
I actually said Bournemouth. I think I said Leeds. You know.
Yeah, I think you did.
I think I said Leeds at the beginning before the games we even kicked off. I thought it would be Bournemouth, Leeds, and Nottingham Forest.
Those are
the teams that I thought were actually going to go down because I didn't think that they would have enough to keep them up. How wrong have I been so far?
3 games in. 3 games in.
Yeah, 3 games in, exactly. But that was my 3, I think that's what I said. Yeah, so Mark, who would be your other 2? You know, obviously 3 games in.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean anything.
I think Everton might be in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I think they might be in trouble. If they lose, is it no, Madison doesn't play for Everton, does he? No,
he
plays for Leicester.
Leicester, that's right. Yeah. Leicester again.
I think so as well.
We will get to them.
Yeah.
The next game is it is that game. So we'll talk about that game now. We'll talk about this game because I thought this game was very interesting. Obviously, all 3. You know, Shea Adams. He's a Leicester boy. They said he's a Leicester boy. He scored 2 goals. Maddison's goal was great. He scored against Arsenal last week. Scores again this week. There's still talk about where he will be, if he's going to go. Is Tielemans going to go? Is Fofana going to go? If they lose those 3 players, Leicester really are in trouble.
Yeah.
My question to you guys is, why would Leicester not be trying their very best to keep them? Doesn't feel like they're trying, or maybe am I getting that wrong because of the media not really talking about it? Because it seems like Tielemans is going to leave, maybe come to Arsenal, and it doesn't feel like Leicester going, oh no, we're going to fight to keep him. I don't know. I just get the impression that they're letting them go. Maybe. What's your take?
Don't know. it is bizarre. You know, you saw. I mean, Maddison. The quality of his free kicks were like unbelievable. You know,
yeah.
So if he came to if he does get sold, and he came to, as the rumors are, to Newcastle, you know, that's going to really strengthen the midfield, like massive.
Yeah,
it gives another string to their bow that they can work with. So yeah, it is a strange one.
You'll have Maddison plays on the right, doesn't he?
I think so.
So you'll have Trippier on the left.
No, he's a right back.
Trippier's right back.
So arguably you'll have Maddison and Trippier on the same side. That's a very formidable. That would be very formidable because they're both very good players, and their free kicks are both. I mean, I know I don't want to mention it again, but that free kick from Trippier today to beat one of the best goalkeepers in the world at a free kick is always amazing. But what he did there, he is a dead ball specialist. I was so impressed with that goal. But yes, so Southampton 1-0 down. Maybe their head's going to go down. They do a substitution. They get on Shea Adams, and he scores twice in literally.
He got man of the match as well,
and he gets man of the match. He's a Scottish international, isn't he?
He is.
And
what's he like in the Scottish Blues?
He's good, but I think, you know, if he could be better for the Scotland team. I mean, don't get me wrong. For any Scottish fans out there, I'm not saying he's rubbish, because he isn't. He is really excellent.
Yeah.
But seeing the service that he got from the other players in Southampton, he was able to manoeuvre and make space for himself, and he got 2 cracking goals. That
volley,
the volley, the volley over the shoulder was just
wow. to correct your body and the timing. You know, mentally, that ball's coming in the air, it's coming towards you, and you're off the ground, and you get that in.
Yeah,
quality, absolute quality. And Southampton, are we saying Southampton are a team? This is another thing as well. Southampton could get spanked 9 goals. You know, they could leak 9 goals or 7 goals. In fact, Leicester I think it was Leicester that scored 9 goals against them. So, you know, imagine it. You play Leicester and they score 9 goals against you. Then a couple seasons later, you're beating them at home, away. I mean, it's a well-known phrase, but football is a funny old game. How is it? You know, literally, we watched. I didn't think that Hassan what's his name?
Hassan Hutel.
Hassan Hutel. I thought he was a goner. I thought that they'd be waving him goodbye after that game, because you can't lose 9-0 in a Premier League game. And yet, what do we see? We see a Southampton side where the stats are, they had more shots on goal, they had less possession. In fact, to be honest with you, when you look at the stats there, Leicester, it's weird, isn't it? Leicester at home had good stats, but stats mean nothing if you can't put the ball in the net. It's very interesting. Yeah. So, so you think Leicester could go down? Do you reckon? Do you think Leicester, if they lose their key players, Tielemans, Fofana, and Maddison, would they be, you know, would they be in a relegation battle? Do you reckon, Chris? Mark?
I think.
I think so. I mean, they've already, for me, you've already sold Schmeichel, so that's not a problem. Pereira, their right back, is out for a good few months, and then yesterday he didn't start Fofana. He didn't start Tielemans. Like, Fofana didn't even make the squad, and Tielemans was left on the bench. I mean, to me, all right, players are in their last year of contract and all the rest of it, but you should always play your strongest 11. So what does that tell you? For me, something's not right at Leicester. And I think that even if they don't go down, I think Brendan Rodgers could pay with his job, because it just doesn't make sense where all of their big players are being sold. And they have still not bought one player. They haven't bought one player. It doesn't add up at all. No. So to me, let's wait and see. But it feels like it's all unraveling at Leicester for me.
Yeah. Big shout out to Mrs. Morrison. Thank you so much for popping in. We are midway through this show, talking deeply about all things Premier League football. Thank you so much. And she's even put, I miss you. Oh, thank you so much, my love. I miss you too. Anyway, we move on, gentlemen, as I don't want to get too mushy in the live stream. My wife always does this. She always writes lovey-dovey things when we're talking serious stuff. Premier League football. There's a time and a place. Yeah, but I always like it when I see that anyway. So, gentlemen, Leicester City, we believe, may be in a dark place right now, purely and simply because of what's going on. I'd like to know, the transfer window closes, 31st of Jan? Of August? Is that what it is? August?
Round about there. What day is that, though? It depends, because it might be the first. If it's on Wednesday, then possibly. Yeah.
So pretty much we've got just under 9 days of business left to do. I would imagine that all 3 of our clubs, Arsenal, Newcastle, and Liverpool, will probably still have some business to do. You say that, but you know, each club will want to maybe just get a little bit. Contracts, as we know, are probably doing right now. It might be a teenager, or or it might be someone to fill a gap. You know, if you said right now, Mark, what would you say is a glaring weakness in the squad? What do you think you need? Would it be a centre back? Would it be a midfielder, winger, striker? What do you think you need to get you over and to be comfortable in your squad? If you were now the manager, what do you think you need to do to bolster Newcastle United?
I'd probably want somebody central defence.
Okay.
Really? Central defence?
Yeah. mainly just so that there's backup. Because
right,
the central defence they have is great, but if something were to happen to the central defence, then I'd want another strong player to be able to put in, or even to do as a rotation.
Okay,
right. Because you bought the young guy from France, and interesting.
And what about you, Chris? So if you obviously, if you're Klopp now, what do you think you need just to feel that there's some symmetry, that your team is okay? You've lost.
I think it has to be in the middle of the park. It has to be in the middle of the park. I think just like with Mark, you need rotation. You can't play the same players every single game. And once one or two get injured, right now, you even as fans of opposing clubs, if you looked at the list of available players, I reckon you'd be able to say who's going to start the game at Old Trafford tomorrow, even though you don't support Liverpool. So it's just if you've got another body in there just to mix it up a little bit, that'd be good.
I think especially if you've got a club that's playing in Europe, you've got that extra time away. You need to make sure that your players are fresh. And if you have that good bank of quality players that you can call on, then it certainly makes your season a lot easier to be able to manipulate and make sure you've got the bodies in the right places at the right time.
Yeah, and I think that says a great deal. I think that's the most important thing, that there are teams that are at the top end, the higher end of the league, who will be distracted with European football, and they will need a squad big enough to be able to deal with, the Wednesday, the Thursday night, and then the Sunday afternoon game, because that's what happens, or it's going to be a Monday night game. It's very difficult to, as you said, West Ham, perfect example, playing in the week, difficult game, play that. I don't know what that score was. What was the score in that game?
Oh, I don't know, to be honest. I didn't watch it. I just know they were playing.
Yeah, no, it's funny. I actually watched the Glasgow Rangers and Ajax.
Eindhoven.
Yeah, I watched that game. Cracking game. I could absolutely brilliant. I was well chuffed with that game. It was a good game of football. But yes, so we haven't, obviously Europe hasn't really kicked in yet, but eventually it will, and we will start to see the teams that haven't improved. For myself, obviously, I'm hoping that Tielemans does come to us. It would be nice to have another midfielder. I still think we do need another defender as well, but who's going to want to sit on the bench? And that's the key. Whoever you pick, they either are going to want to play, or they're not going to. You've got to find a player who's good enough to step in and cover, but is happy enough that he may not play every game. That's a difficult thing to get, in the modern game, because everyone wants to play football. So,
quick question, Johnny. Sorry to cut you. Who played at the back for you yesterday? Did you play 3 at the back or 2 central?
I think it was Saliba
and Gabriel.
Yeah.
Right. So Ben White already missed out, did he?
Ben White was. This is the thing. Ben White has been playing on the wide. He's been playing pretty much as as a back. He's been doing that. As long as, so whilst people like Tomiyasu and Tierney are injured or not up to match fitness, he's still playing, and that's interesting. Right. What was his role when he was playing at Brighton? Was he a right back at Brighton? So hold on. Look, this was the setup they had. They had Gabriel Saliba, Zinchenko on the left, and they had Ben White on the right. Now, he's been playing in that role for quite a while now. He got skinned alive by Zaha in the first game. Do you remember? In the first game, he played in that role, and all they kept doing was pinging long balls, and Zaha was running at Ben White all game. And it was scary to see just how much pressure they put him under. But he seems to be a very quick learner. And I think that's the interesting thing about Ben White, is that he seems to be doing much better in that role. But the question won't be against, no disrespect, but it won't be when it's a Bournemouth game. It's when you're playing a Manchester United, when you're playing a Liverpool, when you're playing a Tottenham, and you're not naturally in that role. That's where the bigger clubs will really hold you to task and see whether you're going to be any good or not. So the fact that he's playing in that role. I mean, I think he still does a great job. But obviously, when you've got when you've got the likes of Tomiyasu and Tierney fit, maybe they would probably maybe they might start the game, and maybe Ben White may not even play. I don't know. It all depends on how.
And that was the reason I was asking, because I didn't know that Tommy was out. I think he came on as a sub yesterday, but when he's now fit, you've got Ben White and Holding as your reserve. Do you understand? So that's why I was like, it's interesting you say you would like another centre back.
Yeah, because I don't trust Holding.
Okay.
I think Holding is probably the weak link there. I don't think Holding. I don't. Holding does a job for us, but I think he's one of those players that are probably happy or he can tolerate sit on the bench and do a job for us for a short period of time. But I wouldn't want to be relying on him for a long period of time. And so that's why someone like Saliba, who's come in, is such a big role for us, because he's come into the squad and he's playing every game and now he's scoring. So, let's see how that evolves as the season goes on. Right. So we're now going to go to this game. I think is we're going to have a lot of, there's a lot of discussion in this game for two reasons. The first reason was someone put in our chat, who will be the first manager to be sacked this season? Now, Mark, from what you've seen so far, who do you think will be who are the three managers that you think are the most in line to be sacked?
I think we've mentioned one already, Brendan Rodgers.
Yeah. Brendan Rodgers, yes.
Yeah.
I'm about to put someone else on the screen. Go on.
Okay. Not sure. Maybe even Everton, Lampard.
Right. So basically, Brendan Rodgers, Frank Lampard, and Gerrard. Out of those three managers, I think Gerrard is probably the most safe. I think that Brendan Rodgers is probably safe as well. I think it's Lampard. That's my take. I think Lampard is probably the least safe.
Okay.
Because I don't know the manager. The difficulty is if Brendan Rodgers is the driving force behind all of the players that are leaving the club, then there's a good chance he's out. But if this is just politics and contractual talks, managers will say, well, it's not your fault that these players are going. But there isn't such a thing at Everton. They've lost players, but it's on Lampard to turn it around and do better. And I wonder if, because of the pedigree that Everton have, that they may say, we can't go too far into this season struggling, and we are not a relegation team. The last couple of years we have been, but we shouldn't be. We are a very, they've never been relegated. You remember that Everton have Everton, I think, and Arsenal are now the only two teams that have never been relegated from Division 1, which is insane. I mean, it used to be Aston Villa until they got kicked out. So
all I'd say with the Everton thing is, again, you have to put context to everything. People are looking at the results and thinking, okay, they played Chelsea first game of the season. I think they were, and I think Chelsea were comfortable, right?
Yeah.
They've sold Richarlison for 60 mil.
Crazy.
And they can never keep Calvert-Lewin. They can never keep him fit. So you've sold a player for 60 million. What did you do to replace him? At the moment, if I can remember correctly, nothing. They bought a midfielder, young midfielder from France for 30 million. So that's half of the money. They bought Dwight McNeil from relegated Burnley. They bought James Tarkowski from there as well. He's a defender. They brought in Connor Cody on loan. What business are you doing to score goals?
Yeah.
But that might not be Lampard. That might be just the ownership. Do you understand? So for him to be the face and him to be fielding questions on, you know, why are you playing like this? And give me a striker who isn't Salomon Rondon. Salomon Rondon was good however many years ago when he played at West Brom, when he played at Newcastle. He's an older guy now. He's not going to score goals in the Prem. So if Everton are having to start him in the Premiership at this point, you know how bad it is. But why are they not getting somebody in? And that's what I think it is for me. Everton, when you look at the squad, it's not terrible. But how many of those players are actually Lampard players? And then also, who's going to score the goals when Calvert-Lewin is not fit? That's what it is for me.
Well, maybe they put a lot of faith in Demarai Gray. He actually did score quite a good goal to get a draw. Johnson for Nottingham Forest, he was their top goal scorer last season. He's now got a goal in the Premier League. I think Nottingham Forest are to get a result anywhere in the Premier League is a result. Nottingham Forest, difficult team to play, difficult game, and they got a draw. And I think it says a great deal about the Premier League as we see it now, that teams years ago when they came up, they used to just get battered. I mean, we think of Norwich, right? Norwich came up. Did they come up as champions of the Championship?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they were just battered by everybody. They just could not buy a win last season. Now, I don't know, but I feel like the teams that have come up this season have got that mettle. They seem to be a lot stronger. They seem to be a lot more. There seems to be a lot more of a resolve that they're going to try and stay up. Nottingham Forest, I'm surprised that. I didn't think Nottingham Forest would play as well as they have done. And I didn't actually watch the game. I watched the highlights of the Nottingham Forest and Everton game. And it did feel like Everton were very, very dominant for long periods of the game. But then when you look at the possession here, it actually says that Nottingham Forest were holding their own away from home. 52% of the possession was with the away team. Lampard is going to have to do something serious to change that mentality. If you're going to play at home, you should be dominating the ball. You're at home.
But these teams have decided that they're not going to just go one man up top. They're going. I mean, Nottingham Forest today played two strikers and Jesse Lingard as the number 10. So they're going for it. Fulham, when they played us, they had two men up top. They're gonna have a go now. Everybody's gonna have a go, and that's what I think it is. There you go. We see it. Two men up top with someone as the number 10, and then the rest of them. Your job is to support when you can, but it's to sit. So if you've got three men hitting you on the break and trying to make chances against a back three, it gives you a chance.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting what you said about Rondon. He's obviously going to be there until they can get Calvert-Lewin back on. And I think a lot of pressure is on Calvert-Lewin to hit the floor running when he comes back into fitness. Exactly. He is going to literally need to keep Everton away from a relegation battle. Right, okay. So our last game that we're going to talk about, which obviously... let me go back to here. Sorry about that. The last game we're going to talk about is where are you? Sorry.
What game is it?
It is this game. Sorry. It is Tottenham versus Wolves. Wolverhampton Wanderers, who are themselves a good team. And I watched that game. Wolverhampton were really good in the first half. And Tottenham were garbage. I just felt like, wow. Like I actually was thinking, this could be quite interesting. We may actually see an away win here for Wolverhampton Wanderers. But then out of nowhere, Harry Kane scores his 250th goal. His 185th Premier League goal. Even though I don't like him, you cannot show respect for the fact that this man is a goal machine. 185 goals in the Premier League, 250 goals in total, and it's all for the one club. Amazing. How amazing is that? So do you know what I mean? We are seeing, you know, at what stage will we start saying that he's the best? Do you think there'll be a time when we'll start saying that, you know, if he breaks Shearer's record, will we say that he's the best striker in the Premier League?
No.
It's crazy, right? He should be. He should be, though, shouldn't he?
No. If you say for me, you say that he breaks Shearer's record, that makes him the best. That means we're saying automatically that Shearer is the best. And forgive me for saying this, Mark, but Shearer is not the best for me. It's Thierry Henry. Thierry Henry was the best striker to have played in the Premiership. So Harry Kane will never be the greatest striker to play in the Premiership, for me, personally.
Now, if you're a Tottenham fan, you probably say, no. Facts are facts. He has scored 185 goals and is still scoring. I'd imagine that he's allowed, you know, the last couple of seasons, he's watched people like Mane, Salah, Aubameyang get into the the Golden Boot world. Kane used to dominate. How many years did he get the Golden Boot for Tottenham? He's going to want that again. He's going to want to get back to winning ways. Obviously, last season he was he was sulking because he didn't get his move to City, and now he's seen that he probably will never play for City because they've got Haaland now and they've got their future striker for many years to come. So he's going to be now he is now setting up to be Tottenham's best ever striker and the Premier League's most prolific goal scorer. I don't know how many goals is he behind Shearer. Is it 100? I don't know how many goals Shearer scored.
No, it's just less than that. It's about 8. Shearer got 260.
Wow.
Shearer got 260. That's the thing. Prem. 260 just in the Prem.
Wow.
Could I ask you, Mark, actually? Yeah. In your opinion, do you think Kane will ever match Alan Shearer's record?
I think he'll come close.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I mean, it depends on, again, what kind of service he gets. If he continues to have that service that he gets with the partnership that he has with Song, then maybe. But, and if you look at Shearer's records, quite a lot of that time was with Ferdinand. He had a good strike partnership with Ferdinand, and the two worked well together. So I don't know. It's in the balance, isn't it?
Well, Harry Kane is 28 years old. So when you think of it like that, he has got he's 29 years old.
Yeah,
he has got 3, 4, 5. If he keeps himself fit like the likes of Ibrahimovic, hear me out. If he keeps himself fit, then he may not be a 25 goal a season guy, but he could be getting 10s, 15s.
Yeah.
He's still the sole outlet at Tottenham. Conte will use him.
I don't agree with that. Son won Golden Boot last year, so he can't be the sole.
Yeah, but Son no. Son got the Golden Boot because Kane was sulking at the beginning of the season.
Yeah. So he can't be the
sole. In fact, Kane didn't show up at the beginning of last season.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that.
He wasn't making any effort to try and score. So Son stepped in that position. What I'm saying is that 29 years of age, he's not 30. So he's 30 he's 30 he's just turned 29. So we're talking he's got 3-4 seasons.
Yeah.
80 goals.
185 to 260. You have to every season be bagging 20. You got to bag 20, right? Yeah. I'm just saying, you know what? And this is one thing that people don't. Well, they do mention it, but you have to give credit where it's due, and I'll back up what I said about Kane will never be the greatest striker, regardless of how many he scores. Shearer had 2 serious injuries, on his knee, 2 in his career, and it took him out for months. The man scored 260. Yeah. He scored 260. I think only Rooney got into 200s as well. Yeah. I think only Rooney, right? That tells you how good Shearer was. Like, to miss 2 whole seasons almost and still score 260. Harry Kane is close, and he plays every single game for his club, right? And like you said, last season was the first time he kind of sulked to not get to, not to get his move, and someone else took his place. At the end of the day, if he does that again, he might not play because they can get somebody else and they'll play in your place. So I think he'll get close. I'm just not sure he will ever be the greatest.
Earlier on we talked about winning things and wanting to be you want to have something in your trophy cabinet. Now, obviously, we know that Kane has nearly won the Euros with England. He's got golden boots. He's won lots of man the match. He's an MBE. He's got lots of personal achievements. But as a professional football player, he wants to either lift an FA Cup at Wembley or get the Guard of Honour for winning a Premier League. He wants that. And I think that the Tottenham setup that they have now, I can't think of if it was Nana that said that they are set up to try and win the league. The way they are playing and they're not looking at, maybe each team have different, you've got ideas of what you want for the season. For Liverpool, it's always going to be, I want Champions League, I want Premier League. That's their set. They set their standard. For Newcastle United, it might well be, we want to cement ourselves as a Europa League. We want to get up the table. We want to cement ourselves. For Arsenal, it may well be, we want to make sure that we get ourselves back into the top 4 and back into Champions League contention. I mean, look at someone like Harry Kane. And I said this before, I feel sorry for him, and I don't. I don't feel sorry for him because he's a Tottenham player, but I feel sorry for him because I can't see where he will get anything unless he moved. But that was before I saw what they're doing now at Tottenham. And I know you said it's only 3 games, but where has that manager ever been where he hasn't turned their clubs around? Mm-hmm. They have a manager now at Tottenham who is a winner, and wherever he goes, he wins.
Counter question then.
Go on.
Where has Mourinho been that he's never won?
Tottenham.
That's it.
Yeah, but no. The only reason he didn't was because they sacked him. Maybe, but there's no. But the answer is Tottenham. There's no ifs, no buts. No, hold on. There's no ifs, buts, and maybes. It's only absolute. At the end of the day, he got them to the final. He didn't get to play it, so he never won at Tottenham. End of. He didn't win. Where has he been where he hasn't won?
That he didn't win.
Tottenham. An opportunity to, because he got sacked. But the question is, imagine.
Then he should have kept his job. Okay, how? Listen. The question wasn't part A, part B. It was, where did he go and did he not win something? Tottenham. End of. Yes, he didn't get the opportunity, but the fact is he was there for a couple of years. So that one final that he made, he was there for about a year and a half. Yeah. That one final is not what I'm going to hang my thing on. No. My thing was,
What I'm saying is that obviously Pochettino got Tottenham to the Champions
League final. Yeah.
And that's amazing. But Mourinho is a winner. And
that's it.
When he left Tottenham, he went to Roma.
Won their first European trophy, bro.
And he wins. And I sit there and think, hang on a minute, what have I missed? When he was at Manchester United, he won.
Yes.
He won. What did he win?
Real Madrid and all them teams there. He's done it.
Yeah. Didn't he win Europa League with Manchester United?
Yes, he did. He won the Europa. They beat Ajax.
Yeah, so he wins at United. He gets
sacked. Yes.
He goes to Tottenham, and on the verge, I believe he would have won that game.
Against who? Against who?
Was it City?
They weren't going to beat City.
You don't know. But we'll never know. That's the point.
And that's it. And that the answer to the question will always be Spurs. Will always be Tottenham.
For me, is rotten because he turned a team like Tottenham, and he made them. He gave them that belief again. Obviously, Pochettino gave it to him because they believe they could. He who dares. They now believe that they are there. They're ready. They've got the ground. They've got one of the best strikers in the world. They've got a great.
Had both of those things under Mourinho. Had both of them.
Yeah, and now watch this space. I hate to say it, but watch this space.
No, I'm happy to watch it, but when I look at the signings that they've made, Basuma, I like it. Yeah. Perisic, he's a good experienced pro. I've got nothing against. Kulusevski, definitely very good player. But for me, that defense is not settled. It's not finished.
Give it time.
It's not.
Like we said, 3 games. We can't say
That's it. They've got the same power, and they're a top 4 team.
10 games from now, I think on when we get to 10 games, I think 10 games is when we can start looking at the league. We can start looking at the squads. We can start looking at what's going on, because then there's been in theory 1/4 of the season is over, and you'll be able to get another. 38 games. What
a third, kind of.
We look at it as when I said, you know what I mean. When I said a quarter,
I know. I'm being naughty.
So what I mean is that we can't make those kind of decisions now because it's still
Definitely not. Definitely not.
But if Kane continues to score goals or continues to do what he's doing, then he will probably hit 20, 25 goals this season, and he won't be 30 yet. So then you're looking at, from it being 80 odd. Sorry, you said it was like 80 goals. Was it 60?
About that. Yeah, about that.
So then you're looking at it being 60 goals if he does it again for another. I just think it will be close. I know what you mean. I think it will be close.
Yeah, it'll be close. It'll be close. Because if I'm Son, last year I carried the team. Yeah. And then you're going to let him still be the top man. That's not. No, I don't. Listen, footballers, we're not them. Do you understand? Yeah. You're looking at it and you're saying he gets all the big contracts. He's the man. 250 goals at one club. Hey, Harry Kane. Last season, he threw his toys out of the pram. He didn't even want to train. And everyone calls him a model professional. I still turned up and I still scored goals. Mate, at the end of the day, I might choose to throw my toys out of the pram. You still going to give me a new contract? Yeah. To me, not everything just stays the same, innit? So
as the song goes, he's one of their own. So they aren't going to turn their back on him, even though he turned his back on them. They've forgotten about it. Like it never happened.
I want. If I had a choice, I'd want Newcastle to put in a cheeky bid for Son.
Oh, now Mark, no disrespect, but the thing is, what you have to remember, Newcastle are actually, without the money, let's forget about the money. St. James's is a massive ground. Newcastle support is huge. They are a well-supported club. It's now that they have the financial backing behind them, they are a major player that everyone needs to be.
Of course they are.
And it wouldn't surprise me. But like you said, they haven't done what we thought they would do, where go out and just buy crazy. But I think at some point they will. Yeah. I just get this feeling
that's the thing.
Newcastle are gonna at some point do a very big signing. You're gonna go, whoa.
They should start with Son. They should start with Son, definitely.
I don't think he'd go there, but I think Kane would.
But you think Kane would go to Newcastle, being so close to being?
I think Kane would. You take them both. You could afford them both.
You see, exactly. That's what we call it. Mark is fine. That's what we call ambitious. That's what you got to do.
And wouldn't it be interesting if Kane broke the record of of Shearer at Newcastle.
Oh, wow.
You know, think about that. You know, Newcastle being, you know, and they both ended up wearing the white and black. Anyway, we can only live and dream. But the fact is that that was the roundup of week 3, where we saw a 3-goal thriller with Newcastle and City. Some great goals scored by Shay Adams of Southampton against Leicester. Absolutely brilliant. A debut goal for Saliba against Bournemouth. Trossard scored a great, one-touch goal against West Ham. And in general, it was just a very, very good week. But the week isn't over. Tomorrow, we have a little game between arguably the 2 biggest clubs in the English Premier League.
Man said arguably, my friend, take that word out of that sentence, please. I'm going to give you a chance to rephrase it, please. Okay. Please.
So tomorrow we have a great game between the 2 biggest, the 2, you know, the 2 biggest teams. Manchester United will be playing Liverpool. It's going to be a great game because Liverpool have got some injuries. They've got some main players that are not on the team at the moment. Manchester United at the moment are struggling even to get a win. If Liverpool win, it will be 3 games played, no points. Manchester United will be in disarray. They will turn it around because I can't see them being relegated. But the facts are they are playing one of the biggest teams in the English Premier League tomorrow. We are going to be doing a watch along. So we're going to be coming live at 7:55, I believe. 5 minutes before we go. Yes, because I made the mistake of going on too early before. We'd talked so much before the game even started. But yes, we are going to be doing a watch along tomorrow where we will be watching. And Chris, once again, will remain neutral.
Not a chance. Not a chance. If I'm saying it right now, disclaimer, if it's anything like it was last season, but in reverse, where United are 4-0 up at half time, you're not going to see me in the second half. Impossible. I'm finishing the feed. I'm out. I'm out.
Mark, before we go, what do you think the score will be tomorrow? The clash of the 2 biggest teams in the Premier League. What do you think the score will be?
I think it'll be. That's the missus.
Hello.
2-1 Liverpool.
Oh, so
I'll take that. Yeah, okay, I'll take that.
So 2-1 Liverpool. And you think the same, Chris?
I agree. I think it's going to be much more difficult than people think it's going to be.
I am going to go with a home win.
Mm-hmm.
I actually think that whenever United play Liverpool, they raise their game. They always do. Now,
like last season?
Last season was the capitulation. But in general, a Manchester United Liverpool derby at Old Trafford, not necessarily at Anfield. At Anfield, it's usually a one-sided game, and it's usually just over after 10 minutes. But at Old Trafford, I just get this feeling that United, especially with Ronaldo, if they can get him cracking, if they can get the likes of Rashford and Jadon Sancho really into the game, I think they could give Liverpool a difficult game. And I think Liverpool, with the fact that they've got some major, who's the big players that you've got out at the moment?
Okay, give me a second. So Konate is out. Matip was out. Thiago's out. Jota's out. Yeah. Jones is out. Nunes is now out.
Yeah. So basically, there's a lot of key players for Liverpool that just won't be there. So and usually you could rely on there's certain players that have gone now.
Okay. No. I've had enough of this. I've watched Liverpool, so I'm going to speak up and I'm going to have to defend this. The last 2 years at Old Trafford, we've scored 4 and 5, right? Yeah. The four game we played Reece Williams and Nat Phillips in central defence. Right, we didn't have the likes of Thiago. We didn't have Mane on the pitch, and whatever we scored 4 against them. Last season, it was even worse. Jones started the game. We scored 5. Right, Mane didn't. He didn't even step. He stepped onto the pitch later on. Listen, for me, it's anything goes with those two things. It's got nothing to do with the players. It's got nothing to do with the form.
My point is that a derby is a derby. So who knows? I'm obviously.
We could just, once you put on the shirt,
I would love it to be. I would love, honestly, if I'm going to be honest with you, I would absolutely love a 0-0 draw. Love it.
No, I'm not interested in that. At the end of the day, if you're going to lose, go out in a blaze of glory. Like, go there and just go for it. Like, just go for it. If you get beaten, you get beaten. Like, it's your rival. Don't come there and do all this, let's shut up shop. Klopp is not going to do that. He's going to go for it. Like, and
the reason why I wanted a 0-0 draw, because both of you take losing points is good. That's my.
I know that. But the fact is, it's only there's 35 games left, and you know me already. The moment we pass you, your head is hot. Your head is hot. If we pass you, your head is hot. So, because last year there was hella bi-league.
So just to clarify, we have a very, very difficult game tomorrow.
Yeah, it will be.
Tomorrow it's going to be a very, very good game between the team that is 15th and obviously 19th place in the league currently. So
after playing 2 games each, after playing 2 games. If Liverpool win, they go top 4. Slow down there, buddy. Slow down.
The game tomorrow is between the team that is currently 15th and joint 19th or joint 20th, depending on how you look at it. So it's a it's a battle for the bottom of the table. We're looking forward to seeing that game. Hopefully, there'll be quality in the game. Who knows? But you know what? I'm looking forward to watching that. But
the date has been recorded. You are not going to get away with. You know what? Last season, but I know you watched it. Last year, we took it easy with Johnny when they lost at the Tottenham Stadium, White Hart Lane Stadium. We took it easy. He let us talk for just 10 minutes, and we had to a couple of minutes, and we moved on. That will not happen if there's any results like this. Let's put it down. We're now, everybody's taking the gloves off. The gloves are off, right? And we're gonna do this, right? When we played them we played them 4 times last season. They didn't score against us once, right? I hope we do this again this season, because your mouth already is gonna get you into trouble. I'm telling you this right now. I'm telling you.
Obviously, Chris isn't prepared to listen to me. So, Mark, you will.
No, I'm not.
So I'm just saying that the game that we are going to do a watch along to tomorrow, 7:55, is the team that is currently in 15th and in 19th place. I don't know what I'm saying.
We know the names of the team, the 2 biggest teams in England. Just say their names. Just say their names. But just say their names. Just say their names. They're the biggest teams in England, and then Newcastle are the 3rd. Just say the names.
If we go to the top of the league, we have
after 3 games. After 3 games. You wait till Tottenham cook you again. Wait till you are shameless. When Tottenham cook you again, I'm going to be the host. Wow, the screen is going to be a madness for you.
So, obviously, as the league stands, Arsenal are first with 9 points. Manchester City obviously lost
after playing Bournemouth. Wow.
Manchester City, having drawn, a very difficult game away to Newcastle, are second. Leeds and Tottenham complete the top 4 after week 3. So
let's give out medals.
So we've had a really, really good week of football. We're looking forward to the game tomorrow, where Manchester United will take on Liverpool. and we're looking forward to seeing that game. If you can join us for the watch along, we're going to be live at 5 to 8. Any concluding comments, Mark, before I allow Chris to monologue?
No, I've quite enjoyed it actually. It saves my little fingers having to type my comments. So,
guys, if you haven't already, please hit the thumbs up for us. If you and also subscribe to the channel. We are growing day by day, and it's really, really good to see all the comments that we get for those that watch the videos afterwards. And they chase us up and I disagree with you, Johnny. We love those comments. It's really good because obviously we like football, but we're not experts. We just comment on what we see. Mark, thank you so much for joining us, and we're so grateful that you are now part of the ForMorSport team. You see it from a Newcastle perspective. We are looking forward to having you on the show again and joining us for the madness that is ForMorSport. Chris, any concluding comments, sir?
No, looking forward to the watch along tomorrow.
Yes.
But thank you again. Thank you very much, Mark. And for those who do watch, we do appreciate your comments. We appreciate your like. And listen, even if you've got into it for 1 minute, what are you waiting for? Press the like button and press subscribe. Let's do this.
We absolutely love that. Thank you so much. Caleb, no way Arsenal win. No way. That hurts. Anyway, as we were saying, guys, thank you so much for watching us today and joining us and hanging out with us. We are going to be back on tomorrow for the show, and please join us. And for a watch along where Chris will remain 100% neutral, and I will be watching and will be commenting on the game as it is. Have a lovely week ahead of you guys. Take care, and we will see you by tomorrow. Take care, guys. Peace out.